Hi friends! Perhaps the most emotionally stirring title I've ever had on this channel. Let's just start by saying no skin can ever look perfect by itself on its own unless you put some sort of filter that will completely erase your real skin texture. This is not what the video is about. It's more so highlighting different strategies that we can do to mimic that filtered blur look on our skin without using a bunch of product. And if it's your first time here, hi, I'm Alicia, an online coach who specializes in flexibility and body weight strength. I also teach virtual classes, and with teaching movement, I love to teach makeup, and that means today we'll cover my favorite way to achieve that perfected skin look. Originally, I was going to film a video highlighting the different steps that I take in achieving this so-called perfected skin look, but I thought to focus on a few steps at a time. So perhaps this will turn into a series. I don't know for sure at the moment, but of course, any videos that I film in the future that cover this topic, I'll put in a playlist so that you'll have it all on one spot. If you want to see them again, that would be so nice of you, thank you. Addressing my skin condition, I have post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. Usually happens when a pimple had ran its course on your skin, and depending on your melanin, how much you have, will determine the mark that pimple will leave behind. Now for me, unfortunately, one of my coping mechanisms to deal with stress is to pick my face. It's a terrible habit that I myself am further navigating through, figuring out and how to break this habit of waltzing into my bathroom to investigate and pick at any small little blemish that I happen to encounter. Not great, as it causes trauma to the skin, it inflames the skin, and it also injects bacteria into the pore, which could lead to more blemishes, which we don't want. Furthermore, the one blemish or pimple we try to extract ourselves could end up looking like a full-on crater, where if you had just let it done its thing, maybe put a little pimple patch sticker circle that I have. Okay, I have several packs. Will still leave a blemish, yes, but nowhere near the size of the blemish that it turned into when we started tinkering with it. So that is what I'm dealing with, and the products that I wanted to show are the ones that I rely on to create that blurred effect. I realized that I'm not looking to completely cover my blemishes because I found that wasn't the best strategy, in that when you over apply makeup up close, it can look very heavy. And depending on the environment, the climate that you're in, heavy makeup might not be the most comfortable to wear on your skin. So what products can we use and what strategies can we rely on to lessen the appearance of our blemishes, but to also have our makeup appear lightweight? Incoming, my favorite complexion perfectors. Also, I would consider the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Hollywood Flawless Filter. That's old. I think it has bypassed its shelf life, so don't really want to put that on my face. I might just have to get a new one eventually. The Saie Glowy Super Gel also comes in a universal shade, Star Glow, more of like a golden champagne iridescent finish. This has the golden bronze tint to it, which I like because entering the summer season now and having a little bit of that warmth slapped on my skin does help, okay? The Auric Glow Lust Radiant Luminizer. This is in the shade Sunstone, and what these two products do is that they have pearl, and what pearl does is reflect light away. Bing boing. And how that's advantageous is when light reflects off your skin, that also lessens the appearance of your blemishes because the light is going boing, boing, boing. I know, very scientific right now. That luminosity and glow naturally will blur the imperfections and also will deliver a beautiful radiance to the skin, evening of tone, and will further amplify any complexion products that follow in your routine to perhaps take on a more, again, again, radiant, a luminous finish. Now, if you're dry skin, I think these are great to use because not only when applying these products, that will add a little more moisture to your complexion routine. Besides, if you use a primer or moisturizer to help with the moisturization and hydration of your skin. Now, if you're more on the oily part of the spectrum, I would pick a product that's more on the gel side. So for instance, the Saie is more like a gel. The Auric is more of a, I would say, lotion, in the lotion category of things. And since we're already on this topic, just to give you an idea, this is the Saie. And I feel an appropriate texture for oily skin. It's not heavy, it doesn't feel greasy, but it still has the pearl in the formula that will again offer the luminosity and the evening tone, as well as the blurring effects. The Auric, however, a little more emollient, and I go back and forth as to when I apply Auric on my skin. We do have warmer weather here on the East Coast, and not that this is heavy, but I do feel a more appropriate texture to use fall winter. Again, if you're drier skin, maybe this will be better for you even during the summertime, but if you're oily and you tend to gravitate towards products like the gel creams and all that, even in the skincare category, I think the Saie is a good choice to go with if you're not one to apply over emollient products on your skin. The demo time has arrived, and that means you gotta come in a little closer. That's enough. I thought I would apply Saie on one side and Auric on the other just so you can see the difference. Typically, I would apply one pump of the Saie for my entire face, but because we're doing half, it's just half a pump. Again, I appreciate the formula for the bronze tint, and I would often just apply the Saie solo because not that it offers tremendous amount of coverage, but the tint will even out my skin tone. It'll pull all my different tones and undertones together. And again, the luminosity, see that light reflectivity that I was talking about in very scientific terms ways? The reflectivity helps to lessen the look of the blemish, in addition to evening the skin tone, and again, just pulling the complexion together in that way. And you can see from the half point, I have more warmth here. And yes, you can still see my blemishes, but I don't think they look as pronounced before I applied the Saie. And realistically, listen, we all have our skin issues and conditions. I think I just surrendered to the fact that I don't have a perfect complexion. No one really does. And if they do, fantastic, congratulations. And psychologically, perhaps you go through this as well. We tend to overemphasize our imperfections in our head, where from another perspective, outside in, they don't even realize it. I mean, some people had said that I have fantastic skin, and I'm like, what are you talking about? But that's the reality. So I think if we just kind of like put the brakes on how intensely we gaze at ourselves, we could actually step back and realize that it's not so bad. Now with the Auric on this side, a touch lighter in color, but there's also some warmth. I do have Citrine. Citrine is the shade up from Sunstone. Sunstone is closer to my actual skin tone, but if I wanted to achieve a warmer look overall, I would apply Citrine. I believe the Auric has a little more pearl than the Saie Glowy Super Gel. There's a little more reflectivity involved, I believe, in the finished product, and you can see there's a lot more glow and luminosity that comes from the Glow Lust, which I absolutely love. And this is Samantha Ravndal's brand. She had mentioned when releasing the product for the first time, you can mix it with your moisturizer, you can mix it with your liquid cream foundation, or you can apply it solo. It does have skincare benefits in terms of hydration and moisturization. And again, just pulling the complexion together, evening out the skin tone, and the luminous finish lessens the appearance somewhat. You can stop right here, maybe apply a little concealer, as I think you can detect because I have some darkness under the eyes. It could look a little funny, like, ooh, this is nice, but what's going on under there? Some people do apply luminizing products under the eyes. I guess that could work. Why not? If it's not overly glittery or there's no texture, then maybe that can offer a little bit of brightening under the eyes. I tend to just stick to concealer. Now applying the Saie Hydra Beam. This is a little warmer than a typical concealer I would use, but I found when applying this for the first time, it meshes well in that it doesn't look overly warm under the eyes. In fact, the warmer undertone successfully cancels out any darkness that I have under my eyes, but it doesn't look out of place if I were to apply a concealer that's one or more specifically 2 or 3 shades lighter. That's when I feel it's like, ooh, that's a little too bright for what's going on with the rest of your face. What would the next step be? Of course, going in with your favorite concealer, tint, or foundation. And if you're asking, well, Alicia, why don't you apply more of skin perfecting types of whatever on your blemishes? You can do that. I have left over from each, tapping on the back of my hand and applying more on the portions that are more blemished. And that can offer a little bit more of reflectivity, luminosity to again lessen the overall look of blemishes on my face. I would rather just go in with a product that has more coverage. Now, back to my original point, we're trying to avoid overly made up skin, but achieving a beautifully perfected skin at the same time. This is where you have to be strategic with what you apply. Now because we've already applied a product that delivered evening of skin tone, offered up some beautiful luminosity and radiance, now we just pinpoint the areas that need a little more coverage without overwhelming the skin. For instance, I wouldn't apply 2 pumps of foundation right now. You just don't need it. You already have the foundation on in terms of the priming step that we took with the Auric and the Saie. Here are a few options. Maybe you go in with the skin tint instead of a foundation. If you go in with the foundation, maybe it's a lighter coverage one. This is the NARS Light Reflecting, one of my favorites. I also have the Danessa Blurring Balm, which is light coverage. Could also use concealer to pinpoint the areas that need more coverage. So which do we do, Alicia? Now, realistically, if this was out the door type of a makeup routine, I would just take my concealer, whether it would be the LYS or the Saie. Because I have both, I mix them together. The shade TN3 from LYS and 5 from the Saie. Not a lot. Not taking a lot. Again, just pinpointing the areas that need a little more help. And here, light. And pretty much just around my jawline is where the blemishes run most prominently. And then I'll pounce around the perimeters of my face, around the brows. If you really want to zero in on the heavy blemishes, like the one here, then take a smaller brush and then tap where you need more coverage. Another product that I love is the RCMA palette, the 5-part palette. I think that's fantastic because you can mix and match the colors and then zero in on the different parts of your face that have different undertones and become really specific with that covering. As you see, I'm going over here. You got a little sucker there. All right, let's get you covered. Now, this is what I'm saying. There's something developing here, okay? I would go in and try to squeeze it. Now, don't do it. You gotta wait till it comes to the surface. And I wouldn't even touch it then. I would just, the washing of your face or some type of mechanical contact will naturally just slaw off the head of the pimple. Tapping more of that concealer concoction now on this side, and I'm sure you probably realize that I'm more blemished on this side than I'm on here. Still though, the majority of the blemishes run heavy around the jawline, and if I needed, I could go around my nose because this is a little red here, especially on around the nostrils, around the mouth. Some people have some discoloration around the mouth. I actually have a lot here near my lip. You just tap around, yes, and do a little final check if you have leftover product and you found that you missed a spot. But the tap and buff, I think, is one of the best application techniques to use to properly blend in products so it doesn't sit on the surface of your skin. All right, look at that. We've used 4 products in all, but in terms of the steps, we took 2 steps, to help lessen the appearance of our blemishes. We went over the different techniques. Setting, that depends. Do you want a glowy finish? Do you want a soft matte finish? Do you want a super matte finish? I like to set my under eyes, and I've been loving the LH Cosmetics blotting powder. I think it's been fantastic in taking away the shine but not making my skin look dry. I also like the Wayne Goss loose powder, the weightless powder, a lot, but this is always nearby because I have this in my bay bag, and that's just what I reach towards mostly. And using the heck out of this Hinoki brush, my goodness. Lightly dusting here under the eyes to set the concealer, but to not create dry, crusty under eye look, and then I'll take it between the brows, center of the forehead. Now this is where it's up to you. If you want to travel more around the face with powder, you can. I like to just set the areas that I had with concealer. So that was around the mouth, here around the jaw. It doesn't have to be a lot of powder, just enough to ensure that the concealer stays. And also, why not? I make sure this part is not powdered. We don't want that powdered. Here we have close-up shots of our work and taking a look at the skin and its texture and realizing, yes, I didn't completely cover my blemishes, but due to the product's benefits in terms of, again, delivering luminosity, radiance, evening of skin tone, naturally having that blurring effect without us using a ton of product, pulling our complexion together in an easy fashion, I would say, not using 10 steps, not having to bake, not having to use a heavy foundation. I still think we can achieve a beautiful complexion, but this also exists on a spectrum depending on what you love to do, depending on your skin condition. In the end, you will use a different foundation. You're like, listen, Alicia, concealer is great, but I need to slap on the makeup. But the point of the video was to highlight, I think, an overlooked step or product that I feel offers great advantage to evening skin tone, offering that perfection possibilities without having to use concealer or foundation in the first place. For the last 6 months, dare I say, year, I heavily relied on these types of products to set up my foundation step first, because I think they're wonderful in achieving that poreless blurred effect that we see so much on social media, which not real, but I think overall can have great benefit to how your skin looks, to how your skin feels, and to give you that confidence. I know it's tough, especially if you have skin issues that are stubborn, that feel they're not going away. And while I understand that I don't have a lot of texture, I do have hair because I don't shave as often. I have done it, but I haven't done it as of late. I know my pigmentation is flat. Some blemishes are raised on the skin, and it's hard to conceal that texture. I think easier to conceal flat blemishes simply because once it's covered, you can't really see it. But good to know for those skin conditions that we don't have to lay on the makeup heavily. We can use the Perfectors with the pearl and that reflectivity to help lessen the look of our blemishes. Again, even out the skin tone, offer that radiance without looking greasy or oily, and having the makeup, most importantly, feel comfortable on our skin. Makeup technology has come a long way, and I think it will only become better in checking off all the marks for our different skin goals, but feeling great on our skin and not feeling like we have a ton of makeup on. So hopefully this video helped. I know it's a little ditty, but I just felt like highlighting these products, this step specifically. With that said, let me know, fam, what your favorite type of skin perfector is, what steps you like to take in lessening the appearance of your hyperpigmentation. We can also discuss skincare down below. I know I didn't highlight that that point in the video. As we know, makeup is great, but in the end, if we have any skin challenges we are facing, skincare is what will tackle these different skin conditions and will further amplify how our makeup looks after it's been applied. I'd love to read your recommendations down below. We'll see you down in the comments, fam. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, complexion extravaganza, monthly favors, or eyeshadow video. Take care, and I will see you again soon.